Thanks for tuning in. This is Tom for Be Confident, and in this video we're going to be talking all about the Anker Solix C1000 solar generator and why I think it's probably one of the best solar generators you can have for car camping or travel trailer camping. So we do predominantly off-grid camping, and we use these battery power banks or solar generators, whatever you want to call them, to power all sorts of different types of appliances, because the older we get, the nicer it is to do a little bit of glamping. So in this video, I'm not going to break down all the specs and do lots of different scientific tests and stuff. There's plenty of other videos out there that cover that stuff entirely. But I am going to talk about the pros and the cons, specifically from the perspective of car camping, travel trailer camping, off-grid camping, and then I'm going to demo all sorts of different appliances and tools and things that you can use with it. So real quick, run through some of the more important specs that people really care about. This thing pushes out at a sustained 1800 watts with a surge of up to 2400. You can charge it off of like a wall socket, 120 volt AC by like 1500 watts or something, or something like 1200 watts. You can basically charge this thing up in an hour if you need to. Additionally, you can charge it with solar power up to 600 watts. It weighs about 28 pounds or so. You've got 6 AC plugs on the bottom here. You've got a single 12 volt car socket type DC output, plus 4 USB. You got a couple USB-A, a couple USB-C outputs, and you turn on each of those functions with these little buttons. It's also Bluetooth capable as well. And then you have an option to add an additional power bank battery that you can just rest right on top and double your battery capacity. So pretty useful unit overall. So diving right into the list of the pros, the first thing is going to be this onboard light. It's got 3 different settings, and I think if you hold it down it'll do an SOS, which no one's ever going to use that. But yeah, these lights on the Anker models specifically are perfect for illuminating like a campsite a little bit, or inside of your tent, or inside of your vehicle, your travel trailer. What I like most about it is that it's a very soft yellow light. So perfect for a card game at a picnic table, something like that. But it's not that bright, white, harsh LED light that you typically get from a lot of the other models. So the Anker has the best lights on their products, in my opinion. So this thing is Bluetooth compatible, and you turn on the Bluetooth functionality by hitting this button right here. So you can connect to your phone, and you can use the Anker app, and you can mess with the machine as much as you need to. You can turn the light on and off and set it to different brightnesses. You can turn on and off the AC and DC power functions. You can mess with the screen brightness. You can adjust the AC charging input. So you can limit it to 200 watts, 400, 600, all the way up to like 1000 or 1200 or so. And you can also set timers where you can set a timer for the machine to shut off after an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, things like that. So the app functionality is actually pretty useful for this thing. So one of the other pros that I want to point out is just kind of a general observation. These things are very easy to use. They're intuitive and simple to learn how. You can't screw it up. There's so many safety mechanisms built in here where it'll protect itself from overheating if you're charging it too much or whatever. So it takes care of itself. It's pretty hard to ruin one of these things if you're perhaps drawing too much power from them. You know, the screen functionality is very simple. It gives you all the information you need and nothing you don't. And it's just a nice, tight, tidy package. So the other major pro for this specific unit is just the overall package and how applicable it is to car camping. It's 28 pounds, so it's very easy to lift for most people. It's got 2 handles on the sides, so you can easily carry it with 2 hands. And if you're strong enough, you can sling this thing around with just 1 arm. I like it because you can easily pick it up and set it up on top of things, or you can set it down low with a lot of ease. So dimensionally, it's going to fit into a lot of spaces, like in a travel trailer where you have smaller cupboards, or in the trunk of a car. You can easily tuck it down and off and to the side, and you can even charge it while you're driving from the socket in the trunk or something like that, or in the boot for my British friends. So overall dimensions, overall weight, overall output, it's going to power any kitchen appliance outside of a 240 volt oven, obviously, that you could possibly want for glamping. Let's be honest. That's why we're using these things, is for glamping. So if you want to run lights, fans, run a blender, coffee maker, we're going to do a lot of those things in this video. It's just overall a perfect package. So the other pro is going to be kind of like its expansion capability. A lot of these toy haulers and travel trailers come with the solar package on board, pre-installed from the factory, and it's not too uncommon to just outfit one on your own with a DIY setup. Those are becoming more and more popular and easier to DIY. This toy hauler, an Ibex 19 QTH, came with a single solar panel and one really cheap small battery on the tongue. I upgraded the package, the battery capacity and the solar panel charging capacity on this by quite a bit. And with this Anker Solix C1000, I can just kind of add on to that capability without having to go in and add more batteries to the actual toy hauler itself. So if the toy hauler's batteries are topped off and completely charged, but it's still sunny and bright out like it is today, I can just top off the Anker Solix 1000 using the onboard solar panels for this unit here and have that much more capacity, especially if you buy the extra battery expansion for the Anker Solix. So one of the major cons with this is simply its competition, which is really great for consumers because you're going to find many of these products that are highly competitive with each other on sale more often than they are not. So like, for example, I got this one for $4.99 and it retails for $800 or some nonsense. They're always on sale. So that's just kind of like it's like the internet pricing for a vehicle that you see at a dealership. That's just to get you in the door. These things are always on sale, so shop around, see which brands are offering the best sales. EcoFlow and Blue Eddy offer extremely competitive products, and some are going to be better than others. This one, for example, operates in a well in colder temperatures. But like the EcoFlow Delta 3, a direct competitor to this specific unit, is going to be a quieter machine by a little bit, but perhaps noticeable. So if you're using it in a travel trailer and you want it to be as quiet as possible, maybe that's the best option. So the competition is pretty fierce, which is great for us, and hunt down these sales. You can have sales on sales too, especially if you're looking on Amazon. So just be patient and you can find one for a pretty incredible price. So the next con here has to do with charging. And this thing's pretty straightforward. You can charge it off of an AC wall outlet with ease. You just plug it in and you can use the app to adjust how much wattage you want going in. The lower the wattage charging, you know, kind of like the longer the battery life will last over the years. You can also charge it off of solar. Very simple, very straightforward, but with many of these, you're supposed to be able to charge them off of USB-C right in these ports. So these ports can output power and also input power, but for whatever reason, I can't get mine to do it. It may be operator error, likely is, but even the user manual says that you should be able to USB-C charge off of these front ports. I just have been unable to get it to work yet. So if you know anything about that, please put a comment down below. But otherwise, that charging function doesn't seem to be available on this. The next con is going to be the lack of Qi wireless charging. So in my opinion, there's a perfect spot right up on top of here where they should have put a Qi wireless charger where you can set cell phones. This is a nice flat surface. It would have been perfect for that, in my opinion. Now, take that with a grain of salt. Obviously, that would add to the price, add to the complexity, add to the size and the weight of the thing, and I already like how light it is and how compact it is. So it's a nice feature that would have been cool to have, but you can just use your USB chargers to get that accomplished, no problem. So this one's kind of a con, kind of just a suggestion for improvement, but also one of those grain of salt things. I wish that this was waterproof or at least water resistant. Blue Eddy has some of these solar generators that do have pretty high water resistance or even a waterproof feature to them. So people are taking these outdoors, camping and glamping off grid. So they're going to be in places where it's rugged and dusty and there's potential for rain. So I would just like to see more of that built into these things. Obviously, that increases the price. And so, but there are manufacturers making them. And I think the industry is going to be moving closer and closer to that direction, offering more water resistant and waterproof solar generators. So real quick, we're gonna run through some demonstrations. We're at 57% charge for the Anker Solix, and here is a pretty standard microwave from my kitchen plugged in. We're gonna run through some typical appliances that you might take camping, car camping, and glamping. So here we go with the microwave. So we had a peak of 1550. 1545, 1553, and you can hear the fans kicking on for the Anker. 1540. Now the fans are kicking on pretty high, and it's saying we can run this for another 30 minutes. There we go, and the 30-second timer for the microwave just kicked off. And then the fans kicked off. Pretty simple. So the next one we're gonna operate is gonna be the toaster. It's sitting right behind the Anker, and I'm gonna turn it on now. So for those morning bagels, when you just gotta have them, here we are, we're running 876 watts. We can do that for another 0.6 hours. So a little bit over 30 minutes. We're at 55%, dropped 2% from that 30-second usage of the microwave. Holding pretty strong at 860 watts. So a toaster, pretty easy, and it's very quiet, I will say. Fair warning, heads up to headphones users. I'm gonna run this blender real quick, and I'm gonna give you a zoom in. Our baby boy is sleeping, so I do not wanna wake him. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Surprisingly, only about 180 watts for that blender, so you can make margaritas all night long. So if you are really glamping, you may be using an electric fondue machine here. So I got it plugged into the Anker, and we're gonna turn it on all the way to high. So here we are at the highest setting. You put some peanut oil in there, something like that, and cook up your steak, your beef, your ribeyes. And we are taking 972 watts. So that will obviously turn on and off as needed. And with a full charge, you can easily accomplish a full fondue dinner with a big group. So obviously a necessity on every camping trip is going to be a coffee maker. Here we have a Keurig. You can run just a regular drip machine. We're going to make a 8-ounce cup here. And we're just going to see what kind of draw this thing takes. So it's not showing anything so far. 1400 watts. So this is presumably going to run for maybe just like a minute or so. And the heating element comes on and off, as you can see. $13.85. $13.86 until your cup's done. So now we're going to get into some of the other types of powered items that you might see more commonly around a campsite. So here's a small 500 watt space heater. Perfect for like a small desk area or maybe a tiny camper. We're pulling 167, 252. We're at 52% battery life right now, 276, 348. So it's slowly climbing up to that 500 watts. And we're at 414, 504, so we're there. And because we're at half battery life, this whole unit has a capacity of 1056 watt hours, but realistically you're only going to get about 88 to 90% of that at best. 500 watts at 51%, we can run this another 1 to 1.1 hours. So here we are, I just kicked on this larger space heater, which is capable of producing about 1500 watts of energy. Sure enough, we're at 1633, and it is pumping out a lot of heat, 1561. So we can only run this for another 0.3 hours at this setting. But if I change it from high to low, which is a pretty common feature on a lot of these space heaters for houses, it'll drop down to about 840 watts, and we can run it for much, much longer. Closer to about 40 minutes rather than about 20 minutes or so, with only 50% charge left. So at 100% charge, you can easily run this thing for a little bit over an hour in the lower setting. So it's going to be super common to have a fan around your campsite. I have this one, it's got 5 settings. I just turned it on the most powerful setting, which is about 35 watts, and we can run it for about 9 hours. So depending on how efficient your fan is, you can run these things all day long at any type of a campsite. So if you are doing a lot of off-grid work, you're probably going to be using power tools, either battery powered or corded as well. So here's a very typical DeWalt battery, 4 amp hour on their DCB 115 charger. It's one of their more powerful chargers that you can get for these portable batteries. So we're going to plug this guy in and show on screen here. We are currently pulling 83 watts. That's about it. And so I've seen them pull a little bit more than that. Perhaps when the battery is cooler. I just used this battery on the blower, so it's probably a little bit warm right now. I've seen these pull over 100 watts charging some of these batteries. So you can easily charge up a handful of power tool batteries should you need to. So obviously these things can run corded power tools as well. This little mouse sander only draws a sustained about like 25 watts or so when it's running. Obviously, like a corded circ saw is going to have a really large initial surge, perhaps greater than the 2400 watts that this thing's capable of, and is going to have a sustained draw of, I don't know, I don't have a corded circ saw right now, but that's going to have a much larger sustained draw. So headphones users, heads up, I'm going to turn this on briefly. Yeah, we're drawing about 23 watts, so I can sand for another 10.5 hours with less than half the battery life on this thing. So another really cool thing that you can use these for is heated blankets. Now, whether you have an AC heated blanket or a DC heated blanket, it can run them both. DC is going to be more efficient and be able to run it for a lot longer, but I'm going to turn this one on to its highest setting and see what kind of a draw we get. And we're showing right now 173 watts, 168. So this will jump around between about 100 and 170 watts, maybe even lower, as the thermal management system in this heated blanket, cranks up or down the draw. So obviously there's many more things that you can run off of this. You can run off a portable 12-volt refrigerator. You can run a bouncy castle for the kiddos. You can run an outdoor movie projector. Obviously you can charge all your phones and any other appliances like laptops that you might need to. And you can even charge up and maybe top off an e-bike battery if you guys are out and about and riding bikes at the campground. So overall, I love the dimensions, the weight, the capabilities, and if you really need a little bit more juice runtime than this thing can allow, you can just get their expansion battery pack. Super common for the Anker and many of its competitors as well. So we are really excited to use this thing camping, and we'll report back maybe some additional reviews in the future. Thanks for watching.